Good afternoon and welcome to the Hydrated Life's Lunch and Learn. I'm Patty McGee and I'll be your host today. I'm the owner of the Hydrated Life, author of the book Hope, an Inspiring A to Z Guide for Cancer Patients, Survivors, and Caregivers. I'm a massage therapist, a life coach, and a motivational speaker. And no, I haven't been all of that all of my life. It wasn't until I had breast cancer 20 years ago. And I knew I had to change my life. And I knew I had traumas that I had to overcome in order for me to live a happy and fulfilled life. And the last 20 years have been the best years of my life in discovering why I was the way I was and what caused it. I was an abuser of alcohol, 37 years. I drank to get drunk. I drank to hide the burdens in my life that I created, and that other people created. But, I like to take responsibility for my actions now. I was not always that way, but, in the beginning of this, I had to really face the fears and everything that I had to overcome to become who I was supposed to be. And that's this: a life coach, motivational speaker, someone that can inspire others to take charge of their life and live it to the fullest that they can, and to understand that our purpose changes throughout our lives. I went to school wanting to be just a recreation leader at a park. I ended up being a recreation director. So my schooling was very beneficial. I used it and I have no regrets with it. But when I got the breast cancer, it changed me. And I started learning about these traumas in our lives. So today I want to talk about the resilience of facing trauma, in the big T traumas and the little T traumas. And I heard that statement on a podcast I was on a while back, that I never really looked at trauma as big T and little T traumas. And our big T traumas are our diseases, our illnesses, our loss, our abuse by other people, and us abusing other people. So those are like the big T traumas. And when you have big T traumas, I recommend that you seek out a counselor. Okay. These are the things that really need you to get the help. If you need medical help, if you need medication for them, and learning how to deal with them. Sometimes we have to live with these for the rest of our lives. You take somebody, and I was very fortunate. I never got a DWI and never hurt anybody in the 37 years that I drank. But you take the person that may have injured somebody else or killed somebody else, they have to live with that. And that person may not have been a mean monster and out there driving. Most people don't understand that when we get like we are, that there is another trauma underlying it on why we are the way we are. But we only feel the hurt from the grief of what we've done to that person's family member. So, and that's the only example that I really could come up with at that time, whether it's a drug person or an mental illness or something else. But when we create these big T traumas, not just for us, but for the other person on the other side of it, you really need to seek the help that you need. And to me, that comes in counseling. Now, the little T traumas, and that's where I want to focus today as a life coach. Okay, these are everyday stressors. These are things that came back from what our parents dealt with, and our grandparents and our great grandparents, and all the way down our ancestry. We may not think that it comes in through our genes, but it does. Some of it does. And we learn what our parents have taught us. Okay. And some people make it out a little better than others. So I want to focus today on the little T traumas. Okay. Little T traumas encompass ongoing stress, and the daily challenges that we live. Am I good enough? What is social media telling me? Why do I drink to cope? Why do I need this person in my life? Am I codependent? All these little things, the fears that hold us back. These traumas can lead to physical, emotional, and psychological stress. And for me, it led to internal stress. So if you know me as a life coach, I talk a lot about inner healing, because once I went inner and I healed everything in here physically and mentally, life was just so much better. So much better. And I want you to live that life free of PTSD and physical health issues, because you can heal from within. And when I talk about PTSD, I'm not talking about military PTSD where they've gone overseas. I'm talking about what we've created inside of us. And we can overcome these things and live a better life to do it. Because these traumas affect our relationships, our work, our quality of life, our family life. When you look at your family, are they loving and caring? Can they overlook certain things in a family and still be together? Because we need that nurturing. Okay. Are you a hugger? Are you standoffish? Why are you that way? Think about it. I'm a hugger. I get complimented all the time on how great my hugs are. But I have people in my family, most of them, they can't give a hug. They're like, So look at yourself and say, why can't I do that? What happened that I just can't reach my arms around that person and be genuine and say, man, I love you. I love giving hugs. So you ever need a hug, seek me out. Okay. But this trauma affects our relationships constantly. So how do we build this resilience to overcoming and bouncing back from these adversities? There's skills that we need to develop, no matter what size your trauma is, but it's you recognizing that something is triggering you. And a good example of that is something that just happened to me recently. At work, we were changing uniforms. No big deal. I've worked in many places that have had uniforms, right? Why, you put on a new shirt, you put on a new pair of pants, and you go. And I put on this shirt and I was fine when I drove to work. But when I got in my first massage, all of a sudden I started crying. The shirt didn't fit me the way I wanted it to. It didn't feel comfortable. And for some reason, I didn't feel safe in it. And I was like, what is wrong with me? What is happening to me? But wearing the shirt triggered a past trauma in me. And so I went into my second massage, and the tears just kept coming, and I couldn't get it under control. So I reached out to my spiritual counselor, and, we talked through it at the end of the day so that she could help me understand that it was a place of safety, something that I felt confining. I didn't have control. And it's because in my lifetime, when I was a child, we didn't have discipline. We had to figure it out on our own. And I was being forced to wear something that I didn't want to wear. And I couldn't escape it. So I didn't feel safe in it. And so I had to look at the situation on how I could feel safe and really dig up what the root cause of that was. Because it's not the shirt, it's just a shirt. I look good in it. So it was creating this. So I had to develop a skill to help me deal with and cope and adapt and grow stronger. And you wouldn't think that a shirt could cause that kind of trauma. But when you've had these traumas throughout your life, at any moment, it's just like grief. When you think of somebody that you loved, that you lost, it can pop up at any time. And these traumas can too. So you need to develop these coping strategies and adapt to them to help you grow stronger so you can deal with them when they do come on. Okay. So how do we identify these coping strategies? The first one I always give out is to breathe. The first step in breathing is don't breathe from up here in your upper chest through your mouth. Don't go, because that's going to cause you more panic, more stress, and cause you more trauma. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Calm yourself down in the situation until you can get yourself under control so you can deal with the situation happening. Second one is mindfulness. Try to relax. Go to a happy place. Set that trauma aside and tell yourself you're going to deal with it later. That one came from my counselor when I was going through it. Exercise. You cannot discount exercise in your life. Many people focus on nutrition, but exercise will help you, A, grow stronger, but push through things better when you do exercise. When you do come into these situations, you grow stronger. You grow stronger mentally and physically when you can see the boundaries that your body can push. If your body can push those boundaries, so can your mind. And you can gain control again. And then self-care. What is self-care? Like for me, it's shocking that a shirt would throw me off because I can have massages. I love massages. I'm in control of, I'm not totally in control, but I'm in control of what I know what the person is going to do or what I expect them to do because I'm a massage therapist. So for me, self-care is massage, it's breathing, it's meditation, it's eating healthy, it's exercising. For somebody else, self-care might be going to the beach. It might be reading. But what can calm you down until you can logically get through this? Okay? You have to develop positive coping mechanisms. In the past, I would turn to alcohol. Well, if I'm not emotionally healthy, alcohol causes us to make poor decisions, to drink and drive, to excessively drink, to become emotionally out of control, to cry on people's shoulders all the time, things like that. So we have to get our emotions under control. So look for positive coping mechanisms. Don't turn to drugs, alcohol, all of that. Yes, it can be fun in the moment, but don't you get tired of it? I did. I could see me breaking free from it over the course of years after I had the breast cancer. It took me a while. It took me a good 8 years to finally break free from it. But once I did, I'm living my best life. When I'm stressed out, I don't have to go to a bar and drink and dance on them and all that kind of stuff that I used to do. Now I'm just happy. And you just have to learn these coping strategies, okay? So find what works for you. Find a network of people. I have, a good network of people that can help, that I can talk to on a regular basis. And they're not so much just paid counselors, they're friends. They're people that know me. I have a friend in New York who's been my friend for 40 years. And she supports all my lives. She supports everything that I do. We don't talk that often, but if I need her, she's there for me. I have a friend from the last 20 years. That same thing, watches all my lives. We've helped each other through grief. We've helped each other through a lot of things. And then in the last 10 years of me quitting drinking and, being saved and delivered and going through counseling and everything, I have a good core of people that I can call them if I need something. So find that network that supports you. Because I know when I was going through my breast cancer, after I got through it all and I was trying to find myself, the post-cancer drugs were making me mentally unstable. And when I was trying to promote the Relay for Life and talking about it all the time, I could tell when I went to family reunions, when I was around family, everybody's scattered. They're like, oh, here comes Patty. We got to hear about this again. We got to hear. So I had to find that network of people to help me. And if you're flying solo, it's so hard to overcome all of this by yourself. You don't have to do it alone. You don't face these traumas alone. You've got to get in with a group of people. And you have to find these people that can give you great coping mechanisms and change the way you see things. So how do we find this support? Okay. Again, a therapist, meeting my friend Faith, who was my spiritual counselor for the last 10 years, 8 years. Incredible wisdom, incredible knowledge, and incredible strategies that don't include medication. And I'm not saying that medication is bad. I'm just saying that for people like myself and others who don't want to turn to medication first, we find these other ways to do things. If you have issues, get to your big T traumas, get to your doctor and get on the medication that will calm you down. It's not to say you can't ever get off of it. But for me, it was counseling. That really set me up. And it was spiritual counseling because everything I was dealing with was in here. It was in my spirit, in my soul, things I had done that I couldn't overcome. And I had unforgiveness of myself. And I had to pull that out of me. And she pulled it out of me. So seek help, your therapist. Find support groups, find friends, find family. Okay? Sharing your experiences can reduce the burden. I am very good about being vulnerable and sharing my experiences. I've had some really, really big ones, and then I've had the small ones like a shirt I was wearing. But I am very good. I like to put puzzles together. So for me to look at my life and put the pieces of the puzzles together, I know what my father issues were, and I dealt with them. My daddy issues. He didn't love me enough when I was, going through some struggles and stuff. I had to find happy moments of him and me coming together. I had to remember the good times because I was only remembering the bad times. And the good times outweighed far what my father had ever said or done around me. I had mother issues, and I still work on those. We were so close. I want to say codependent on each other, as I worked through everything. We went camping together, we golfed together, and those are all good things. But there were things my mother didn't teach me. She didn't teach me about life that I lack to this day. I told people on the last live, I read this book, Hiding from Love, because I couldn't even love myself. How could someone else love me? And it's taught me to love myself and to be who I am today. And, now it's just, where is this person? Who's out there that I want to be with? And I can still be alone until that happens. So working through all these issues and putting the pieces together of where they came from. Okay. I've had people in my life that they kick people out. You say one wrong thing to them and you're gone from their life forever. Or you don't even mean to say something wrong and you're gone. And I'm like, how can you be that unforgiving? So look at yourself and ask where these things come from, because sometimes we create bigger issues in our minds than what really happened in our lives. So take a look at that when you're looking at your experiences and the burdens of any of these traumas that are affecting you. You're going to learn to manage stress through relaxation exercises, and breathing is the first one. Just learning how to breathe in and breathe out. and relax, sit, learn to be comfortable with yourself. And I love to sit and read a book. I can sit here in my apartment all day long and just read books, scroll through some social media, and just have a nice, peaceful day. The next thing I know, it's 5 o'clock at night and I'm just relaxed. I'll go get something to eat. I love to go sit at a restaurant. If I need to hear voices but not really be around people, I'll sit and read for 2-3 hours and just listen to the people, talk to the waitresses and waiters, and leave my mark on people. So I like to be vulnerable with my situations, for the most part, because we all have them. And I know I'm not alone. And that's why I share it. If we keep it inside, how can other people heal? They can't. Okay. So sharing is very important to learn how to handle these things and to relax. Find your place, find your jam, as they say today. Find your jam on where you fit in and how you can overcome these. And it's not easy. Okay. When I started changing, a lot of people left my life on their own. Okay. Some people left, some people I left behind. And some of us just were agreed that we no longer fit in each other's lives. And it's okay. It's okay. I learned, sometimes we learn the hard way when they walk away, and sometimes it's easier. But just know that you're not alone and there are other people out there. So develop some problem-solving skills to tackle your challenges. Start back at the basics and the base of where you think it came from. So for me, I know where my trauma came from. Okay. I know at a little girl, I became codependent quickly, attached to things. I can go back to remembering me getting a 50-cent piece from my uncle. And all the guys got to go to Yankee Stadium and watch a Yankees game. So if I was only like 6, maybe I was 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that age, okay, that 50-cent piece was like gold to me because my uncle gave it to me. Whenever anybody gives me something, I really cherish it. And I was young and I wanted that 50-cent piece. And one of my cousins took it and hit it with a bat down into these tall weeds. And for years, I went and looked at it looked for it while we lived in our apartment. And it wasn't so much it was the 50-cent piece, but it was also the fact that I wasn't allowed to go to the game. Now, I was a little girl and I can still remember that day. I remember being in those tall weeds, pulling that out. But it also was the fact that I wasn't allowed. I had to stay back with the girls. I didn't want to be with the girls. I didn't want to wear dresses. I didn't want my hair done. I wanted to be outside playing baseball. I wanted to be to that game. And my father told me no daughter of his, those were his big words to me. No daughter of his was going to play baseball. No daughter of his was going to do this, because that was his mindset. That's where he was. So that attachment and that loss started at an early age for me. And then at 13, I had trauma. Again, my father ran past me. And these are where my father issues came in. Okay. Father ran past me rather than hugging me, telling me I was going to be there. He was more concerned where my brother was. Me disappointing my mother, the shame, the guilt, and it just built. And I turned to alcohol, and all this stuff just built up in my life. And nobody went to counseling. Nobody dealt with trauma. Nobody, it was just bury it. And after the breast cancer came out, I couldn't bury it anymore. So I'm pretty vulnerable when I speak one-on-one with people on how to overcome this. And you need to become vulnerable so that you can help others. So many of us, through our diseases and illnesses, change our lives. We become life coaches. We become massage therapists. We become nurses, psychologists, counselors, because we know what we've gone through. And sometimes it's not the schoolwork that makes us good at what we're doing. It's the experience of what we've gone through. So develop this problem solving and start at the base of where these things built and go back and revisit them. And not that you've got to revisit the trauma like to make you sick, revisit it to make you healthy and realize, it was so much more. I can go back and tell you, now what I remember from my childhood. I remember snowmobiling. My dad bought us a snowmobile when we were 5, 6, 7 years old. He bought 2 actually, and we could snowmobile outside our backyard and go for miles. And he bought a little Cub Cadet because there were 4 of us. And my mom had a snowmobile, and each one of us rode on the back. And then there was the Cub Cadet for the other. Well, there were 5 technically. So my other brother's 8 years younger than me. And the other 2 rode in the caboose. And we went to this place called the Bull. We had fun. We cooked out. We watched guppies be born in fish tanks. So I can recall now all the happy times rather than focused on that mind that was burdened, in the back of my brain that everything was bad, 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 bad. We've golfed together before he passed away. And in the end of his life, he asked me to help him. And he told me he was proud of me. Did he have regrets? Yes, he had regrets. We all do. But he died with his in him. I don't want you dying with your regrets. Okay? So find problem-solving skills to tackle these burdens of the trauma, because that's what they are. They're burdens of it. And if you don't know how, reach out to somebody that can help you. Okay? Focus on your strengths rather than your weaknesses. So many times, and I'm the same, I was always focusing on my weaknesses. I'm not good at this. I can't do this. I can't. But I'm strong. I'm strong at helping people. I'm strong at talking to people. I'm strong at creating solutions for people, simple solutions where they don't have to, go back to school and do things to overcome stuff. They're simple. And you have to have self-compassion for yourself. Realize the state you were in at the time all of this happened. What was going on in your life when you were diagnosed with whatever you were diagnosed, wherever the trauma happened, and have self-compassion for it. Anybody that knew me prior to breast cancer and even shortly after that, they knew I didn't love myself. They knew that I held the burdens inside of things I had done, and now I talk to people who are like, yeah, I did that too. Yeah, I did that too. But I was out of control. I was out of control because we as kids did not have discipline. We did not have responsibility. I let my integrity be poor, but I found my purpose. Okay. And I had to overcome that. I had to overcome lack of self-compassion for myself and lack of love and lack of self-hatred and everything. And I encourage you to focus on your strengths and to let go of your past. Remember that healing takes time. This has been a 20-year journey for me. It took breast cancer to pull it out of me before I could change. I don't want that for you. I want you to change now. I want you to change your life. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it is. Get self-discovery in you, because we are way more than what we are allowing ourselves to be. Okay? We have, there's so much growth in us that comes out of these experiences. And when we really sit back, if you were to sit down and write what happened, what burdens you to this day, and compare it to the rest of your life. My life with my mom was so much fun. Like, I was with her all the time. We went to the laundromat together. We went to my aunt's together, camping, like I said, golfing. There was so much to it. Snowmobiling together. One time we were snowmobiling. These snowmobiles in front of us. There were probably 40 snowmobiles in this group. And everybody went forward and they would disappear and disappear and disappear. Well, come to find out, there was a big drop off. And she's like, she used to call me Duker. She's like, hold on, Duker. And we went over it and we dropped down and we spun out and everything. I can remember those things. And that's what we have to look back on. And were these burdens that are in your life, are you thinking you were a terrible mother? Okay. I made some poor choices with my child, let me tell you. Okay. But I've also made some really good choices with my child. I really helped him in some areas of his life. Okay. So look back on all the good, and it should outweigh these burdens, and let them go. Okay. So celebrate your progress, no matter how small it is. And that's weird coming from me, because a lot of times I don't know how to celebrate my progress. I go out to eat. That, to me, that's my joy. That's my jam. That's what I like to do. If I'm going to celebrate me, I want to go get a good steak. And I'll even go to Texas Roadhouse because I love their steaks. But that's how I celebrate me. I'm not into clothes. I'm not into jewelry. And I'm not even really into big expensive vacations. Like, sometimes I think they're way overpriced for the 5 days that you get, for the memories that you make. So I'm more, let's stay local. Let's have some fun. Let me have a good dinner. Okay. Become resilient in your actions. Okay. Try and find other people that can inspire you to overcome them, and make your actions stick. Don't give in. Don't go back. Keep being resilient and moving forward. If you hit a wall, bounce off of it and go left or right. If you've ever watched a football game where these, like, wide receivers or running backs, all these players come together and they try and tackle them, and you see some of them and they hit them and they take and they spin and they go in another direction. I want you to be that way. Take whatever that burden is. If it hits a wall, spin. Take another side. Go around it. Go do something to make it, to release it. Okay? And find people that can inspire the hope into you and show you that any recovery is possible in these burdens that are holding you back, in this trauma. Okay? And overcoming it, I guess to finish up here, to recap it, overcoming trauma, whether it's a big T trauma or a little T trauma, is possible. Okay. Build your resilience, seek out support, take small steps towards healing, because that's what it takes. I've been on a 20-year journey. Okay. And I'm the happiest and the healthiest. If people looked at me now, and I can show you pictures that I have from the past where I weighed 208 pounds, I didn't love myself, and I could never even speak to you like I do today. Okay. Move forward with your strengths and your hope that you can overcome this stuff. And be grateful for where you're at today. Okay. I've gotten 20 more years out of life than my friend Sandy did, than my friend Janet did. And these are people that I met through cancer. My friend Carol did. I could go on and list names of people who died before they even retired and never got to spend a penny of their retirement. So I encourage you to let go. Seek the help. The little T traumas, a life coach can help you with. Fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, procrastination, being lazy, whatever you think you are, a good life coach can help you with that. your big T traumas, abuse of any kind, even a lot of grief, deep-seated grief. Like I needed help with my deep-seated grief. In 2017, I had 10 people die in 9 months. 8 of them were from cancer, 2 were from heart attacks, and it sent me over the edge. And then when my best friend walked away from the friendship in 2018, that just really put me in a deep depression. And I needed my spiritual counselor to help pull me out of that. That's when you go to your counselors, when you want people that can move you forward. A life coach takes you where you're at right now and moves you forward in your progress. So if you're looking for a life coach, go online to the hydratedlife.net and schedule a clarity call and see if we're fit to work together. But I just want healing for you and for everybody in this life, because there's nothing better when you love yourself and you are loved by others. So I am grateful for you to listen to this. I hope it was beneficial to you, and I hope you just have a blessed day and a great day, and I will talk to you soon.